don't know what I was thinking. If you put 4 into 16, which got her a 4, correct? A 4 into 36, which got her 9. And then, Kaylee, what about the x's? All right, so that's gone with x squared on the bottom. And Pedro, what about the y's? All right, so we'll have a y first on the bottom. So we have a 4 on the top, and that's it. And we have a 9x squared y on the bottom. So what you should be going is, what do I write down here? Well, the x can't equal 0, because if you made x equal 0, the whole thing, and y cannot equal 0. So that's what you write. Because both of those can't either, if either one of them was to be 0, they would zap everybody. And we don't want. Okay, so our next one, does anybody know what number one? Again, the directions say to simplify. Then state excluded values. So when I look at this column, what you should notice is now there's a plus involved. As soon as we have pluses, you should be thinking factoring. So I'm going to look at the top up here and check for a GCF. Because remember, if you say the word factor, you should be thinking GCF before. So there is no GCF, and I cannot do double parentheses. And now I'm going to look down here, see if there's a GCF, and there is. So now I'm going to put that back on top, but here there's a GCF. So Samantha, what's the GCF on the bottom? It would be. So that's 3 right there. 3 goes in 18 also. I'm left with what, Sarah? Yes, and right, n plus 6. And what you should notice is that there's an n plus 6 on the top, and there's an n plus 6 on the bottom. Those zap each other. They don't make zeros, they turn each other into 1. So we now have a 1 on the top and a 3 on the bottom. So there are no exclusions. There are no exclusions. That's the answer, 1/3. That can happen. It doesn't happen very often, but it can. Another problem that says to simplify. Because there are pluses and minuses, you cannot start zapping stuff. You have to check for GCF and factoring. You have to do that. So Daniel, what's the GCF in this one? Yep, so if I pull a 4 out of there, what's left, Daniel? X minus, that's 1. So that 4x and 4 times 1 will give you 4. Down the bottom, Ryan, what's the GCF on the denominator? Also 4. What's going to be less than 5, Ryan? Yep. So what you should, at this point, you're going, look, there's a 4 that's getting multiplied with all that and a 4 that's getting multiplied with all that. Did you hear me say multiply? Since this is attached to this through multiplication, I can zap those. I cannot zap these 2 x's. These 2 x's are attached to this one by a minus, and this x is attached by a plus. As soon as something is attached to something else with a plus or minus, it is a chunk of stuff and you cannot separate it. That 4 is not tethered to anything because of the multiply. Multiplication makes everything separate. It's the addition and subtraction that sticks stuff together. So you're left with x minus 1 over x plus 1, and then what about our excluded value? What would be our excluded value, Kennedy, on this one? Any ideas? Excellent, that is correct. That's all. Well, no, it's -1. And if you put a positive 1 here, Kennedy, what's 1 plus 1? That's okay. You can have a 2 on the bottom. You can't have a 0. So if you put a -1 right here, a -1 plus 1 makes that 0. That's why that is the exclusion. Okay? I can always go back, so step for yourself. So again, the directions say to simplify, and they're going to ask for excluded values. Because of the pluses and minuses, you've got to think factoring. So up top, Pedro, is there any GCF? And can you double parentheses that? No, so that was as far as we know. We're just going to put it back. And down here, though, again, no GCF, but Daniel, what can you do to this? And you know what goes in there? Yep, correct. Because 1 times 1 will get you that -1. And if you add a positive 1 and add a -1 together, you get to 0, which is why there's nothing in the middle. Anybody notice anything crossed out? Megan? Right, the z plus 1s match each other. That leaves us with a 1 on the top and a z minus 1 on the bottom. That is a great simplified answer, but we do need to mention the exclusion. What would be, Sophia, the thing that z can't equal? If I put 0 minus 1, I don't get 0. Right, it cannot equal 1. And how did we get that? It's because we set it equal to 0 when you solve it. Let's see, that's a mess. And that's not an eraser. So that is that 1. That's the exclusion. That's where it came from. Okay. So we're going to do a little bigger one. I won't be doing that to this yet. What's the first step in factoring? Yes. Okay, that's what you know. Okay, so what is the GCF? Okay, what's going to be up here? Excellent. This is her GCF, and she had one. We pulled it out. There it is. Draw a line. Down here at the bottom, check for GCF. No GCF. But it is a trinomial. You can do your double parentheses. Hey, Ryan, what do you think? Yep. A 5 and a 7 into this. Now we just got to decide what the signs are. It's a negative 35, so we know we need a positive and a negative, Lindsay. So which one's which? It is. Because that, when you add them, gets you the negative 2 right there. That negative 2, when you add a 5 minus 7, you'll get a negative 2. So this is correct. What can get zapped, Michael, out in the middle? The d plus 5 is gone. We use the 2 in the numerator and a d minus 7 in your denominator. Simplified answer. And now we need the exclusions. Landy, what would be the exclusion for this one? D cannot equal what? We're looking right here. Right, because 7 minus 7 is what? And we can't have a 0 down here, so it can't be a 7. Okay, let's try 2 to the second plus 5t plus 6 to the first. Notice, okay, so hopefully you notice that you can do the double parentheses on both of these, and you're doing that. Here's the top one. What's that one going to be? There's no plus or minus, it's all pluses. Five times 1 does not. There you go. Draw the line. Okay, Lucy, what about the bottom one? Yep. You need the 4 times the 2 would make her the 6 also. What is going to get zapped out of this problem, Samantha? Yep, the 2 plus 2s are gone. Leaving with 2 plus 3 on the top and 2 plus 4 on the bottom. So what would be the thing that t cannot equal, Pedro? Excellent.